are about to meet a woman who is redefining what it's meant to lead, not just in business, but at home, in education, and in the hearts of thousands of families. Whether you're leading a team, scaling a company, or trying to figure out dinner while answering Slack messages, this conversation is for you. Because today we're talking to the CEO of Calm, the expert of emotional intelligence, and a woman whose work has transformed how parents and professionals show up. Lina Acosta Sandaal. She's a licensed psychotherapist, human development expert, and the founder of Stop Parenting Alone, a company helping parents everywhere understand their kids, build emotional strength, and parent with purpose. She is also the head of school at KLA Academy, where the Reggio Emilia philosophy empowers children to be confident, capable learners from the start. Her background includes a master's in clinical psychology from Antioch University, Los Angeles, and a bachelor's of science in business administration from Boston University. Lina trained with Yale's Minding the Baby, the National Child Traumatic Stress Network, and Dr. Dan Siegel's interpersonal neurobiology program. She's been a trauma therapist, an author for Macmillan Education, a Telemundo national expert, and even appeared in the movie Real Women Have Curves. Today, we're diving into what to do about parenting guilt as high-performing parents, why quality time always beats quantity, how AI is changing what our kids really need to thrive, and why emotional intelligence is the ultimate competitive advantage. Lina, welcome to the Entrepreneurial Edge.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here and answering everything that these high level achieving parents and entrepreneurs are listening to you all about.
Right. Thank you so much for being here. So many entrepreneurs and professionals carry this invisible guilt, like we're not giving our children enough. What's the truth behind the guilt and what really matters most?
The guilt truly happens because we feel as though we have to spend a lot of time with our children. When the true answer, what children truly need, is presence. And you can have presence with quality of time rather than quantity of time. So when a person is highly motivated in their work and in their career, they feel guilty. That's their passion. They feel like only that they should only be passionate about their children and their family. But that's not fair to somebody where their business, their ideas helps them thrive. And actually, that helps their child because now the child has a model of what it means to follow passion, what it means to persevere, and what it means to move forward. So let go of the guilt and think about quality of time versus quantity of time.
That's right. I myself find I even discuss with some of my stay-at-home moms, and I always say to them, like, it's so important for you to be good. You need to be good with yourself, whatever your decision is. If it's just stay at home or to do your work, you got to be good, right? Because then your
Mhm.
children will feel it and things are going to move from there.
100.
I wanted to share something personal. I grew up with learning challenges that really affected how I saw myself and my place in the world. And I often felt like I didn't fit in the way traditional schools expected me to learn. And when I became a mom, I knew I didn't want to pass that trauma to my daughter. So the first step was finding a school that could do it better than me. And when we enrolled her at KLA Academy, I saw a shift. Her confidence, her self expression, and how she learned, it felt so aligned. I could see her becoming someone who knew she was capable, not someone who was trying to prove she wasn't broken. So, been so healing for both of us. So, thank you because your leadership, I can see that all of the teachers, they follow your vision. They're so good with children. They're so good with parents. And it's really a reflection of your work.
I absolutely love hearing that. And I absolutely love seeing your little one continue to grow and thrive. I love to watch them in their classrooms. And, what you're sharing is something important and a big responsibility that we have as parents when we bring citizens into the world, right? We have to really think about, where do I stop and they begin? And what work do I have to do for myself so that they don't have to suffer what I have suffered? And then the example that you just gave, right? You didn't just blindly put her in a school just like the ones that you were put into. You stopped, you thought about what it was like for you, and then you took the time to wonder, but what would I do, or what can I do for her? And that is why she is thriving. There's a statistic that states that when a parent understands their past and how it influences their present, the children thrive, right?
Ah, that's awesome.
Well, that's what you just said. You just gave that example.
Thank you so much, Lina. So you're leading a school that follows the Reggio Emilia model. For listeners unfamiliar with it, how does this method prepare children for the real world, especially in an AI-driven future?
If we think about the future of children that are in elementary school now, 5 years from now, anything that they need, any type of question, any information that they may need, it's going to be in their fingertips, right? So, what we really need to do to have children prepare for the future that they're entering into is knowing what to do with that information. So, what do we need to be able to manage information or a project or something that's in front of us? We need critical thinking. We need problem solving. We need to know how to collaborate with others and to collaborate with the information. We need to be able to research and observe and to question. We need curiosity. We need creativity. And everything that I am describing is exactly what the Reggio Emilia philosophy speaks on, inspires, and creates for educators to think about and analyze. At KLA Academy, we've taken the tenets of the Reggio philosophy, but then created a system of our own because we have an elementary, right? So we have a very strong North Star, which is to make sure that the students come out of our fifth grade classrooms prepared and ready. But for me, as an educator, for me, as a psychologist, I'm really thinking about, where are we placing them? Because this is the next big change, right? Just like there was an industrial revolution, and then every time there's something different, we have to make sure that those human qualities are expressed and are practiced daily.
Yeah, especially emotional intelligence and feeling safe in the environment. My daughter, she knows every teacher, and it's not just her teachers, the people that work, the people that pick her up from the car, they know her by name. They know what my car looks like. They know everything. It's pretty personalized. It's really amazing. We just had a day where my husband and I visited our daughter's classroom. I think you guys just had it. Was it called the parent teacher?
The Parent Appreciation Week, we had
Parent appreciation week.
Yes.
Right. What stuck with me wasn't just her work, it was her body language. She pushed her chest forward, she held her head high, and she couldn't wait to show us what she had been doing. That kind of confidence for me is so rare in a child in school for me, because I didn't have that. And I truly believe it's a product of the environment that you guys are creating.
And that's deeply based in neuropsychology and also in child development. What we know is that a young person, before they can engage, before they can explore, before they can be vulnerable in a system, they must feel safe. Safety allows the brain to settle so it could do the bigger things, right? The memory, the focus, the problem solving. If the brain is busy scanning the space of whether or not it's dangerous, then it's really hard to learn. Yes, it's for parents, it's very important. And by the way, when I say these things, sometimes parents get scared because they feel like they have to do it perfectly. You don't have to do it perfect, right? Let's pretend that you scream because you knocked over your coffee and then your little person is startled. And now you're like, oh, that Lina lady said that this place must be safe. What have I done? No, you can look at them and say, oh, I know I startled you. It's just that I dropped the coffee everywhere, but we make mistakes, right? So in those moments where you do scream, where you lose your cool, maybe you're frustrated, maybe you just got off a business call and your child is, are you okay? It's important to, the safety comes from us telling them the truth in an age appropriate way. Right? You're right, baby. I startled you. I got really frustrated when I knocked over the coffee. Or I know, baby, me and daddy were screaming. We were having a hard time coming up with a good solution, with a kind solution. That's important. And again, it brings safety, it brings vulnerability. And every time you do something with a child, they model it right back. I know you guys, all of you guys have noticed, right? All of them are pretending to be on the phone or pretending to type on a laptop. That's what they do. So yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about something a little bit controversial. So I've heard people say, is KLA really strong academically, or isn't Reggio all about play? But my daughter is learning letters, numbers, even starting to read. And she's excited to learn. No pressure, no stress. So, Lina, how do you respond to that kind of skepticism?
The $1 billion question. I think that there's a misconception that to learn, I have to memorize things, or I have to take a test, or I have to sit straight in a desk and you just write something down, right? And when actually what we know, and we've known it for a while now, is that all of us learn when we are engaged. And engagement looks different in every age group, right? In an adult learner, engagement comes from their passion or their inquiry or their curiosity, right? With young children, engagement comes from play. Mr. Rogers, the famous children's TV show host, always used to say, it's his quote, play is the work of children. At KLA, we have the standards. Like, we know that our students have to leave our school knowing what a cell is, knowing what a hypothesis is when you're thinking about an experiment, knowing, all the concepts of math. However, the way that it is presented is in engagement. And sometimes that looks like we are going to build a tower, right? To figure out the patterns of the blocks so that we can multiply them, right? Or we are going to look at the building that's being built next door and then write a story about the building. Because right now we are practicing our writing skills in our writer's workshop. So learning does not have to feel like a punishment for it to be rigorous. Learning does not have to feel like 10 questions and 20 papers and 52 essays for me to learn. Learning is about being engaged, being given the opportunity to look at the curriculum and the material and wonder and make it personal. I want everybody that's listening to us to think about the last time they did something new that they loved, that they thought they learned. You immediately made it personal. You associated it to something else in your life. And that's what we do. And that's what we do for children. So are all the academic standards being given at the school? 100%. It's how we present the information that makes KLA Academy unique.
Interesting. And it's funny because I've had some parents say, well, they don't have as much homework. And they think that that's a problem. And at the same time, I saw some of my friends that put their kids in kindergarten, they had 3 hours worth of homework. Like, when are they going to enjoy that? Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, we do have homework here. It's just different.
I heard it's not as much.
No.
I guess you don't need as much to get the message across. What do our kids really need to thrive in the future when memorizing facts won't matter, but learning how to learn and adapt will? I know you've mentioned about the human skills, the curiosity, the emotional intelligence, and that everybody's going to be able to have the information. Then the only differentiator is going to be your emotional state, your creativity, I think. But this is me coming up with your part of the answer. What do you think?
100%. Like, yes and yes. To be able to live in a world where information is surrounding you, most definitely, first and foremost, is the ability to have critical thinking, right? And critical thinking means that I can take a concept, I could break it down into all of its aspects, and then I can make a decision about that information. But I don't know if anybody that's listening to us has been just recently gotten into a conflict with their boss or with a prospect client, and then they're thinking about how they have to leave work as soon as possible because one more time school has made an event after school. Yes, blame me. And you're trying to write that last email, right? And you can't because you have all these things flowing. And that is an example of emotions and mood. And we call it emotional intelligence in popular culture, but like the psychological term is emotional regulation. So the ability to feel a feeling, label what you're feeling, and then recuperate from the feeling is emotional intelligence. It's emotional regulation, right? It's being able to say to yourself, okay, I can't write this email right now because I'm worried I need to get to school. I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna give quality time to this after school activity. I'll wait for the email and I make sure that I do it at 7:30. And if you have the best tool, if you can't do that, even if you have the most amazing like generative AI, if you can't do that, then you can't succeed. So it's the critical thinking aspect that before you can think that way, you need the emotional intelligence. And I would say a really big piece is also the one thing that the generative AI is not going to be able to do, which is that collaboration and the teamwork and those human connection pieces that are incredibly important. And I don't want anybody that is introverted to feel like that aspect is going to be heard in the future. No, because introversion is not a bad thing, right? If you're introverted, you are also connecting with others, but you're actually connecting with others in a deeper, more one-on-one way. Extroverts tend to connect with others in bigger groups and in bigger, broader ways. So I would say that really knowing your temperament and your personality and who you are authentically is also a very important piece for success. And I think that a lot of entrepreneurs, especially, they do have that one particular skill set, knowing authentically who they are, because you can't dive into getting a loan, opening a business, being a company of one, and not know who you are authentically.
Yeah, that would probably be very difficult because it requires a lot of emotional intelligence too, because there's so many moments of uncertainty and self-reliance as well. Very well said. So you've worked with so many parents. Would you say that the same emotional intelligence we use to raise our kids is what we need to lead our teams and our companies?
Yes. And I was thinking, so first and foremost, every single one of us have a little tiny 5-year-old, 10-year-old, 14-year-old inside of us, right? And I'm saying like that we have those aspects of ourselves that live within us, right? And because those are the times when you're 5, when you're 8, when you're 3, when you're 14. Those are the times when you make decisions about being in the world and what's safe, what's not safe, what feeling you can feel, what feeling you don't feel, what you like, what you don't like. So even a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old, they have those aspects, those memories inside of them. I like to number them and name them, right? I remember my little tiny 7-year-old. I actually have a picture of me at 7 in my office to remind myself, who did she need? What adult did my 7-year-old me need in her school? So I don't forget who I can be for all the children, right? And the kids always ask me, who's that? I would say that when we engage with each other with empathy, right? When we engage with each other with curiosity about, even if somebody's being rude to you, or even if somebody is like crossing the line, if you can stop and be curious about what's going on over there, you're going to have a better interchange. And so it's thinking about those two things. Maybe you're in a meeting and somebody is like being really defensive. You think about, hey, is the 14-year-old inside of that person talking to me? What's happening? What are they afraid of? What am I not communicating well? Yes, I would say that we need to have focus with adults, just like we have with children. We need to be present with adults, just like with children. And we need to be able to meet another person with the vulnerability of asking for what we need, setting the boundary that is necessary, right? And then being curious about the other person, which is exactly what I would want a parent to do with a child.
Fabulous. You founded Stop Parenting Alone over a decade ago. What was missing in parenting support that you wanted to create? And how do your coffee talks help parents fix their challenges head on?
I started Stop Parenting Alone because I found that in the world of psychology and psychotherapy, the only help that was given to parents was when there was a problem, right? The child was depressed, or the child had challenging behavior, or the child was presenting with anxiety, or maybe somebody was getting divorced and the child wasn't taking it well. And I wanted to be the place where we talked about prevention.
So well, better.
We talked, I could give parents the development information so that you don't feel crazy. Like something like when I'm with parents of 3-year-olds and I say to them, hey guys, it's 3 major tantrums per hour and 1 minor conflict every 3 minutes approximately. So then now every parent is okay, my child losing their mind at Target is not that big a deal, right? Or like when I tell somebody, hey, you have a 4.5, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, guess what? They're going to have relational conflict with their friends, with their siblings, with you, right? Because they're working out and they're playing out how to be in a relationship. Or when I say to a parent, hey, they're 10. So they need to feel some sort of control. So they're going to disagree with you constantly and debate with you constantly. So I wanted a place that gave parents the information, the general developmental information they needed, so we can prevent the depression, so we can prevent the anxiety, so we can prevent. So, and I know that it's incredibly powerful when a group of people gather and they share with each other their concerns and their fears, and then they don't feel alone anymore. Because statistically, we know that when a parent has a child, when a parent has an infant, they tend to isolate. It's an isolating situation, especially in the first 3 years, right? You have this little infant, nobody's sleeping. And I just wanted a place where parents could just really have the information to create the strategies and to feel normal about the day to day of their lives. I always used to say to when I used to do more groups than I do now, I used to say to them, okay, let's think about Monday morning. Let's solve that Monday morning problem. Because if you can solve Monday morning, you could do the rest of the week.
Yes, for sure. It's so helpful. I came to your coffee talks many times. We actually had a personal challenge to what's busy inviting. You guys solved it. I'm so thankful for that. But what I'm most thankful is because my solution was remove Vivian from the situation. Her solution was like, no, she needs to learn and base. And now she's still super friends with the kid, has zero problems with the situation, got over it, and still can relate and work with the kid. And beautiful to see. Me as a parent, I would not. I'm glad that I trusted the school for this because I think she would stay away from challenges every time.
Yes.
Because my job is to protect her. And I think I either overprotect and your job, I mean, actually, this should be my job to teach her to be independent and not need me anymore. The goal that they leave us, they leave us to safety. Yeah. But I'm so happy. And what I love the most about it is because even though I had my concern, you guys worked with me so that we could resolve them. And my child was safe. The other child was safe. And I was super happy about it. Lina, we're getting close to the end here. Let's do a lightning round.
Okay.
One sentence for each question. All right. So a person is a working parent and has guilt. What is your one sentence for this question?
Connect with quality.
Okay. How to build confidence in a child.
Don't fix their problems, witness and hold their problems.
Wow, you gotta let them face their own challenges. That's beautiful. Okay. One leadership skill every parent needs.
To manage their mood. Manage your mood. If you put your mood first, your business will benefit and your children will benefit.
Yeah, that's perfect. Best prep for an AI world.
Curiosity, creativity, collaboration, patience.
Wow. One parenting myth to retire.
That you have to make your children happy. That is the worst parenting goal you can have. We're not supposed to make our children happy. We're supposed to help them feel safe in their emotional world, in their physical world, and in their academic world. And safe sometimes means that you're holding them in the dark while they cry. And that's all you need to do. You kiss them on their head, you put your arm around them, and you let them sink into your arms with their pain.
Wow. That's so powerful, Lina, because we as parents tend to want to give to our children what we didn't have. And we tend to go all the way instead of the middle ground. It's usually the right way, right?
Yes.
Before we close, I want to take a moment to acknowledge KLA Academy. KLA isn't just a school, it's a space where children are seen, supported, and challenged to become emotionally intelligent, joyful learners. It's where curiosity, compassion, and growth are not just taught, they're lived. If you're a parent looking for more than just test prep, for confidence, creativity, and real learning, this is the place for you. Where can people find you and learn more about your work and about KLA, Lina?
Me personally, I think the best place to find me is on Instagram. It's at Parenting Expert. That's a great place to find me. If you want to read blogs that I have written with tons of little tidbits of parenting tips and information, you can go to stopparentingalone.com. But if you want to come and be part of my day-to-day, every day, you can go to klaacademy.org and click the tour button and come see me, come tour the school. You can't really get a sense of what a magical place it is until you actually enter the building. So those are the two best places.
Perfect. Lina, thank you for your leadership and your heart. And to all the founders, professional, and parent listening, you're not just building a company, you're raising the future. Stay present, stay brave, and stay unstoppable. Thank you so much, Lina. It was phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you.